Beneath the romantic sunset gilding the Venetian lagoon, a shadow lengthens, stretching its dark fingers across the shimmering water towards an island the world has tried to forget. As our view drifts from the splendor of Venice, an aerial panorama reveals Poveglia, a desolate teardrop of land, abandoned to time and decay. The camera descends, sweeping over crumbling hospital walls choked with ivy, past windows that gape like empty eye sockets, and towards a silent, lonely bell tower that pierces the bruised twilight sky. This isn't a place for tourists. It's a monument to suffering, a scar on the face of one of the world's most beautiful cities. Welcome to Poveglia Island, known to many as the most haunted place on earth, a hidden hell simmering just beneath the surface of paradise. The gentle lapping of waves against its shores cannot wash away the stains of its grim history. And as night falls, the island begins to breathe, whispering tales of torment that echo through its skeletal ruins. The story of Poveglia's damnation is written in layers of death, beginning in the 14th century when the bubonic plague, the Black Death, swept through Europe with unrelenting fury. Venice, a bustling hub of trade and travel, became a terrifying epicenter for the disease. As the body count rose and panic gripped the city, a desperate solution was found for the afflicted. Poveglia, conveniently isolated, was designated as a quarantine statiana lazaretto. But this was no place of healing. It was a dumping ground for the dying and the dead. Over 160,000 souls, torn from their families, were forcibly shipped to this small island to await their end. Men, women, and children, feverish and covered in agonizing buboes, were cast onto its shores. When the sheer volume of corpses became too much to bury, the authorities resorted to a horrific alternative. Giant pyres were lit, their flames roaring day and night, consuming the bodies of plague victims in a macabre, unending funeral. Imagine the scene. Thick, acrid smoke blanketing the island, carrying the stench of burning flesh across the lagoon. The sky glowing an angry orange from the ceaseless fires. It is said, the very soil of Poveglia is composed more of human ash and bone than of earth. The restless spirits of those who perished here in fear and agony are believed to be forever tethered to this cursed ground, their collective anguish seeping into the island's foundation. As we drift through the thick, unnatural fog that often clings to Poveglia's shores, the past bleeds into the present. Ghostly apparitions clad in the tattered, simple clothing of the medieval era are said to wander aimlessly through the overgrown fields where they once suffered. They move like smoke, their forms indistinct, their faces lost to the mists of time. Listen closely, and you might hear what countless visitors have reported. The faint, disembodied screams and sorrowful wails carried on the wind, a spectral chorus of despair that never truly falls silent. The air grows heavy, thick with a palpable sense of grief. It's the sound of thousands of souls crying out from their mass graves, their final moments of agony replayed in an eternal loop. The island itself seems to mourn, the rustling leaves of its twisted trees sounding like sorrowful sighs. Among these tormented spirits, one figure stands out, a specter of a different kind of evil. The camera pans upwards towards the menacing silhouette of the bell tower, now a dark spear against the last vestiges of daylight. This tower was the domain of a doctor, a man whose name is lost to history, but whose cruelty became a legend long after the plague had subsided. Poveglia was repurposed in 1922 as an asylum for the mentally ill, adding a new, twisted chapter to its dark history. Here, in the asylum's decaying corridors, the island's malevolence found a new vessel. The head doctor, driven by a perverse curiosity, was not interested in healing his patients. Instead, he saw them as subjects for his cruel and barbaric experiments. In the solitude of the bell tower, he performed lobotomies with crude instruments, hammers, chisels, and hand drills without anesthesia or any semblance of medical care. Tibetans, already tormented by their own minds, were subjected to unimaginable pain. Their screams, it is said, were deafening, echoing from the tower, but they were dismissed by those on the mainland as the mere ravings of the insane. The doctor believed the island's ghostly emanations were the cause of their madness, and he tortured them in a twisted attempt to cure them. His reign of terror ended when, according to legend, he was driven mad himself by the very ghosts he sought to understand. He climbed to the top of his bell tower and threw himself to the ground below. A nurse who witnessed the fall claimed he didn't die from the impact. Instead, as he lay broken on the ground, a spectral mist rose from the earth and choked the life from him, the island itself claiming its final revenge. His dark, shadowy figure is now said to be forever trapped within the tower, a tormented soul paying for his sins. The scene transitions, the grainy, sepia-toned flashbacks of the past, giving way to the sharp, high-definition reality of the present. We follow a modern ghost-hunting team as they make landfall, their boat cutting a nervous wake through the dark water. The air immediately feels different, yet oppressive, and still. Armed with an array of sophisticated equipment, they step into the asylum's dusty, debris-strewn halls. The silence is profound, broken only by the crunch of shattered glass under their boots and their own increasingly heavy breathing. Their footsteps echo down the empty, peeling corridors, each sound amplified in the cavernous dead space. The team leader switches on an EMF meter, and its needle immediately spikes, screaming a frantic electronic wail in the darkness. A spirit box designed to scan radio frequencies for intelligent responses crackles to life. Live, a raspy, guttural voice hisses through the static. Pain. Another voice, a child's whisper, pleads, help me. The team freezes, their faces pale in the green glow of the night vision camera. The temperature plummets, their breath frosting in the air as a cold spot moves through the room. Tension mounts, a slow, creeping dread that tightens its grip with every passing second. The ambient music, once a low hum, swells into a discordant, unnerving score, punctuated by the heavy, rhythmic thumping of a heartbeat. It's not just the equipment picking up anomalies. It's a feeling, a pervasive sense of being watched by unseen eyes, of a malevolent presence lurking just beyond the reach of their flashlights. They are not welcome here. Their exploration leads them deeper into the asylum's rotten heart, down a long, dark corridor towards what was once the infirmary. The rhythmic sound of footsteps joins their own, but these are heavier, echoing from the floor above. They stop, and the footsteps stop. They move, and the footsteps resume, stalking them. Panic begins to set in. A sudden, violent bang from a nearby room makes them jump, and they swing their cameras around to find a heavy metal door, previously ajar, now slammed shut. Their devices go wild. A cacophony of electronic shrieks and static-filled voices. A thermal camera captures a fleeting, human-shaped cold signature disappearing around a corner. The team's nerve finally breaks. They turn and flee, their heavy breathing now ragged gasps of terror as they scramble back through the labyrinthine halls. The sound of echoing footsteps and faint, mocking laughter pursuing them all the way to the shore. They throw their gear into the boat and speed away, not daring to look back at the island that has so thoroughly violated their sense of reality. The camera lingers on the receding shoreline, the asylum, a dark, monstrous shape against the pre-dawn sky. The video's final sequence begins as the first light of a new day breaks. The storm of the night has passed, leaving a calm, serene morning in its wake. The sea is placid, the sky a gentle canvas of pink and orange. From a distance, Poveglia almost looks peaceful, its horrors masked by the soft morning light. The shot holds on this tranquil view of the water, a moment of deceptive peace, allowing the viewer to exhale, to believe the terror is over. But it never is. The camera begins a slow, deliberate pan moving from the calm sea back towards the island, its lens creeping up the decaying facade of the asylum. It rises, floor by floor, until it reaches a single, grimy window on an upper level. The glass is broken, but through the jagged opening, a shape begins to resolve itself out of the gloom within. It's a dark, indistinct figure standing perfectly still, its form silhouetted against the shadows of the room. It's impossible to tell if it's the ghost of a plague victim, a tortured patient, or the mad doctor himself. The figure doesn't move, it just stands there, a silent sentinel of suffering, staring out from its prison, its gaze fixed on the misty horizon. Waiting, the screen cuts to black. You watched till the end. Now prove your courage. Like, subscribe, and share.